Today we will be continuing with the topic of distributive law under algebra. So distributive law happens when we have terms adding or subtracting in brackets and we have an external term multiplying by those terms. So because our terms in brackets are unlike terms, we can't add them. A plus B will remain as A plus B. So in order for us to simplify this equation, we have to multiply them out. So we take the external term and multiply by the first term in the bracket, which will give us X multiplied by A. Then we take the same external term and multiply by the second term in the bracket. So always put an add and X multiplied by B. So if we go through the examples quickly, we will see 5 open brackets, X plus Y will just be 5 by X, add 5 by Y, which will give us 5X plus 5Y. Same thing here, we can't add or subtract them, they are unlike variables. So 3 by 5X, always add 3 by negative 2Y. And when we simplify that from our rules of multiplication, 3 by 5X will give us 15X. 3 by negative 2y will give us negative 6y. A positive by a negative is a negative, so we'll end up with 15x minus 6y. Then we have negative 7 multiplied by a plus b, negative 7 by a. Always add negative 7 by b, always add. So this will give us negative 7a, add negative 7b. Or we could go straight to this step once we understand that a positive number multiplied by this will give us a negative. Positive by a negative will give us negative 7b. Right, so we will continue with another example that says negative 8, open brackets 3a minus 2b. First term, so distributing term negative 8 multiplied by 3a. And then we always add, don't pay attention to what's here, we're always adding negative 8 multiplied by negative 2b, which will tell us our term is negative 24a. And of course, we put back our plus, we don't have to, plus negative 16, sorry, negative by negative is positive, so that's just going to be 16b. And if we realize it's a positive by a positive, which will just give us negative 24a plus 16b. So now we have an example that has 2 distributions. So we follow the same method and distribute and then simplify. So it's going to be 3 multiplied by x, right? Always add 3 multiplied by y, always add 5 multiplied by x, always add 5 multiplied by y. And then we simplify that, 3x plus 3y plus 5x plus 5y, and then just like that, we have to group our terms. 3x plus 5x will give us 8x, and 3y plus 5y will give us 8y. Nice and simple. We did some multiplication and simplified into addition and subtraction. Our second question, we have 2 distributions again. So we have 4 by 3x plus 4 by negative 2y plus 3 by 4x plus 3 by negative 3y. When we multiply those, we'll get 12x minus 8y plus 12x minus 9y. We group up our x's, 12x plus 12x, 24x, and negative 8 minus 9 will give us negative 17y. Our third question, again, 7 by x. So we started to omit some unnecessary steps. So we know that we have to multiply the 7 by the x and the 7 by the y. So 7 by x will give us 7x and 7 by y will give us 7y. Now we have a negative 4. So negative 4 by x will give us negative 4x. Negative 4 by negative y will give us positive 4y, because a negative 4 by negative 1 is positive 4 with the variable y. And then we sum up our like terms, 7x minus 4x, that's 3x, and 7y plus 4y, that's 11y. So the last question we have here on the screen, let's get into. So we have this final 2 questions here, right? Again, don't let fractions scare you. So it's going to be the same thing, 1/2 multiplied by 2x, which will give us 1x, and 1/2 multiplied by -1, which will give us -1/2. Then we have a quarter, -1/4 by 1x, which will give us -1/4x, and then -1/4 by -1, which will give us +1/4. We simplify our terms, giving us 3/4x minus 1/4. Same thing, 2/5 by y will give us 2/5 y, 2/5 by -5 will give us -2. 1/3 by x will give us a +1/3 x, 1/3 by -1 will give us -1/3. We don't have any x and y in common, so we just put back our x term and our y term, and we sum up our constants, which will give us -2 1/3 or -7/3. Final question, final 2 questions. Right, same thing as before, we expand and simplify. Add up our x's, add up our constants. We end up with our final answer. Then a by a squared, a by -2b, -2ab, -b by a, -ab, -b by 2b, -2b squared. Remember, when we're multiplying like variables, we add the powers. So we sum up our -2ab minus ab. Remember, we are adding or subtracting variables, so we do not change the variables. We do not add the powers. We add the coefficients, which will give us -3ab, and we put back our a squared and our -2b squared. This last one is a simple -3 by 5, -15. -3 by -2x will give us +6, and this is our final answer because there are no like variables for us to simplify. Right, so we are finished with distribution for today, and we will see you in another class of algebra.